What's happening, friends? Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick, and on this channel I talk about cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and economics. So if you like those topics, be sure to like and subscribe. Today's video, we are taking a jump back into Avalanche. Avalanche, as viewers of this channel know, is one of the chains that I cover, and it has just been on an absolute tear the past few weeks. Not just in price. Price has come the past week or so, but also in all sorts of metrics that I'm going to go over today, because I think all signs are pointing towards a major bull run for Avalanche adoption, and I'll show you why in a second. Additionally, I'm going to go through a few of the top ecosystem plays that I'm looking at on Avalanche, and then a couple new DeFi projects that launched the past day that have just gone absolutely bananas. Over $1 billion TVL in the first day for both of these projects. Projects are Blizz and SnowBank, and I'll talk a bit about those and show you guys how to use those. So with that being said, let's get into it. So first, if you're not familiar with Avalanche at all, I would encourage you to watch my other videos with an introduction to how to yield farm on Avalanche and how to set up your MetaMask to use Avalanche. But in a nutshell, Avalanche is a protocol that allows multiple chains to be built on it, sort of like Cosmos or Polkadot in that respect. And one of those chains, the Avalanche C chain, is by far the most used one. The Avalanche C chain is compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine. That means, in a nutshell, that any projects which are deployed on Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain or Phantom can be easily redeployed to Avalanche. Additionally, it makes it pretty seamless for projects to bridge over, and Avalanche has a phenomenal bridge to bridge from Ethereum. What makes Avalanche different than some of these other chains is that Avalanche has a novel consensus. They have a novel consensus mechanism which allows them to add more validators and become truly decentralized without sacrificing transaction speed. So the finality is somewhere around 1 second right now, if I'm remembering correctly. And additionally, it allows them to keep transaction costs relatively low. It's not as low as something like Solana, which is virtually free, but it's safely under $1, usually under 50 cents, which is several orders of magnitude better than Ethereum. If you used Ethereum recently, you're probably looking at $30, $50 for a transaction at least. Hundreds of dollars if you're making a swap. So that is what Avalanche is in a nutshell. And then additionally, because this is important, Avalanche is available on Coinbase for withdrawal directly to your MetaMask wallet, which means that as some of these projects start to get mainstream attention, the loop from people hearing about Avalanche to buying Avalanche, withdrawing it to their wallet, and buying the project is very small. It's a very tight loop, simply because Coinbase being one of the most popular apps to buy from, it's the fiat to Avalanche route doesn't have so many steps in it. So let's get into some of the metrics then that are pointing towards Avalanche being very bullish. So the first one is, and this is one of my favorite metrics, is total value locked. This is the amount of the dollar value of cryptocurrency that's locked into decentralized finance projects. And you can see here Avalanche is number 5 right now. It's up around 3.5% of the market share for all of TVL. That's up 10% today, 20% in the last 7 days. So you can see that that is just phenomenal. But what I think is even better is that not only is it increasing in USD, it's also increasing against Ethereum significantly, which is important because Ethereum you could think of as almost a proxy for the total smart contract space, similar to Bitcoin, but Ethereum you might think of as a better proxy for the smart contract space. And the fact that Avalanche TVL is outpacing the growth of Ethereum tells you that it's more than just the overall crypto market increasing in value. And then if you look at it in terms of AVAX, it has dipped a little right now, and that's just because the price of Avalanche is up, like I showed you a minute ago, massively in the past day or so. But up until the past week, it was even increasing in terms of Avalanche. And you can see here, these are some of the top protocols. Aave is one of the largest DeFi protocols, period. It's also on Ethereum and Polygon. Trader Joe, which we'll talk about, and Wonderland, which we'll talk about today. So let's look at a few other stats then. So first thing we have is daily TX count. So this is the daily transactions on Avalanche. You can see this has just been, it's bumpy, but it's just been going up and up and up. And then today, November 8th, 2021, over 500,000 for the first time. So that is just phenomenal to see. And you can see that this growth since the summer has just been steadily rising. And we'll see how far this can go. Next stat to look at is the C chain contracts deployed, or because this is tough to read since there was this one day here, we'll look at cumulative contracts deployed. You can see that this means that projects are constantly launching or making updates. If you're not familiar with what a contract is, when you launch an app on a blockchain, you have to launch smart contracts to go along with it, right? And there might be several smart contracts for a single app. But this means basically that there's just a steady increase in developer activity. It's not quite as parabolic as the transactions, but it's still a pretty solid incline here. And then the final one I want to look at, which I think is probably the most important, is the active addresses. So first we'll look at daily active addresses. You can see that this has just been increasing. And so remember that the price has gone up, but the price is actually, up until the past week, had been fairly steady for a month or more. But even so, the daily active addresses continued to climb throughout October, and then it had a peak towards the end of October, and then it surpassed that peak, or at least equaled it, today as well, with 70,000 active addresses. And you can look over here and look at the monthly total and see that even just 8 days into this month, we're already roughly even with the total number of active addresses for, let me move my screen here. Yeah, so you can see that we're roughly equal between current active addresses and where we were for all of September. And that's just after a few days of this month, right? So by the end of the month, if this can keep up, then it's very possible we'll continue this parabola of active addresses, and that signifies real adoption. That means there's actually large numbers of people using the blockchain. Move this back. All right, and so that's in a nutshell why I think a lot of signs are pointing towards Avalanche doing some big things in the near future, and it's already starting to. So how can you take advantage of this? Well, the obvious example is you could purchase Avalanche, AVAX token if you want to, and because it's come up so much, my advice is always, well, not advice, what I would do if I were looking to purchase now, and what I am doing, because I'm purchasing now, because remember, nothing I say is financial advice, what I would do is DCA, dollar cost average, and that means if you have $500 you want to put in $100 today, $100 in 2 days, $100 in 4 days, and so on, until you've put in the full amount. That way you get the average of the price, so imagine the price fluctuates around here for a bit, you get the average of the price, and of course sometimes the price is going to go down and you wish you had waited to buy, sometimes it's going to go up and you wish you had put it all in at once, but dollar cost averaging is easily the safest way to make sure that you don't buy in at the top. So with that being said, that is a phenomenal way, and you could buy AVAX and it will probably do decently. There are also some ecosystem plays, so Trader Joe is one of them. Trader Joe is the largest decentralized exchange on Avalanche. And here we have the protocol revenue, which you can see has just been kind of creeping up, kind of putting in higher lows, right? So first it bottomed out over here, and then a little bit higher, and then a little higher, about the same, then a little higher. So it's just been steadily building up higher and higher protocol revenue. And right now it's pulling in $100,000 to $200,000 a day, which is pretty solid for a DeFi project. If you compare it to some of its peers, then you can see that it's, for example, let's find, did not mean to click on that. All right, let's go up to here. dApps. This website is Token Terminal, by the way. They have revenue for different projects in crypto, which is really helpful. So Axie Infinity just blows everyone away. But you can see Trader Joe, last 30 days, is roughly the same as Compound. Only a bit smaller than Curve, which is, both of those are top 100 projects and considered to be some of the kind of premier flagship Ethereum DeFi projects. Last 7 days, bigger than Compound, almost as big as Curve. Honestly, not even that much smaller than Aave, another flagship DeFi project. So you can see that Trader Joe it's punching above its weight in terms of how much money it's actually generating. And if you look at volume here over on CoinGecko for decentralized exchanges, you can see it's even more apparent. It's actually flipped SushiSwap in the last 24 hours in terms of volume. In terms of number of visits, it's absolutely blowing SushiSwap out of the water. I don't even know what is that for 6x the number of visits, and SushiSwap has more because it's got some from Polygon. You can see actually Polygon has more visits than Trader Joe. So maybe that's not fair, but in terms of volume, yeah, it is just blowing SushiSwap out of the water. It's bigger than Curve now, bigger than Radium, the largest DEX on Solana. So basically what I'm saying is this points towards Trader Joe being a premier DEX, kind of almost on the level of something like PancakeSwap. Maybe not in terms of volume yet, but in terms of many metrics. And I think eventually, I'm taking the personal investment in Joe because my thought is that eventually that may get priced in to the token. Another project that I'm looking at is Wonderland. Wonderland, if you're not familiar with, it is it's a fork of Olympus DAO built on Avalanche and built by Danielle, who is what is his last name pronounced? Esta, Danielle Esta, and he is kind of renowned in DeFi because he started Abracadabra Money, he started Popsicle Finance, he started Wonderland, and these are three of the kind of most popular, fast-growing DeFi projects right now. And so Wonderland is not just any other fork. And you can see it offers a incredible APY right now, 75,000%. I have another video, more detail about exactly what Wonderland is, how it works. You can kind of purchase Wonderland at a discount using some of these tokens over here, like AVAX and MIM or liquidity pool tokens. But what makes this really interesting is, so right now they're building up the treasury. So the treasury is $400 million, $440 million. And the question is, well, what are they going to do with that treasury, right? They could deploy it into liquidity pools and those sorts of things, but Danielle has actually hinted that he plans to use the treasury for things that are a bit more interesting than that. So here's a tweet from earlier this week. He said, DAOs are the next big thing. I'm bullish collective options rather than individual investor preference. The deal flow for Wonderland.money will be insane as we can provide money, community, and ecosystem benefits. Time is money, and time, of course, is the token for Wonderland. And so it's a bit mysterious, but what could that mean? Here's one hint of the sort of thing it can mean. Not saying it's going to be this, but someone observed on Twitter that JackX, which is a premier game studio, was sold for $300 million, and they pointed out the Time treasury is $350 million, so Time could purchase a studio like that if they wanted to, and then turn it into into an NFT game. And then Danielle, founder of Wonderland, actually commented saying, I think we should do something like this, TBH, why not? So that would be kind of just one of the examples of an exciting thing is they might actually do with this treasury, and it would be pretty crazy to see the sorts of value that they might be able to generate for DAO members being time holders if they're able to do something like this. So that's another project that I'm making a bet on. And this one is definitely already very large. It's $2 billion market cap. This is the only project from Avalanche. Actually, the only project from Avalanche or Solana that's in the top 100 right now. So this already has a high market cap, which means, of course, this APY or price cannot both be maintained forever. But in the meantime, I think it's a project that I'm at least interested in, so I want to be a part of, and I'm holding this one. So that is the gist of sort of my core strategy on Avalanche, but I'm also going to look now at a couple projects that just launched the past day, because I think these are pretty exciting, especially for some people who might be sort of into a bit riskier plays on Avalanche. So first is Blizz Finance, and now there are two Blizzes, so this is a little confusing. There's Blizz Network and Blizz Finance. Blizz Network is a yield aggregator. Blizz Finance is a borrowing lending platform. That's a forced fork of Geist, which is a major protocol on Phantom Network. So here, like many borrowing lending platforms since they launched, they are subsidizing both lending and borrowing with their Blizz token. That means that in exchange for lending out your tokens, your AVAX, for example, you are earning 31%. And then in exchange for borrowing, you're earning 100%. Yeah, you can't really complain about that. You can even do that with stable coins, although the rates aren't quite as good. 15% for DAI to lend it out, 36% to borrow it. Would not complain about that at all. And then the catch, though, is that the Blizz that you earn, there's actually a vesting period. So you buy it, the Blizz starts to vest, and then you can unlock it at immediately with a 50% penalty, or you can wait. Now, because the emissions on this are so high, and I'll show you kind of the liquidity pool in a second, which has even higher emissions, I don't know how well the price of Blizz is going to maintain itself. But in the meantime, these rates on borrowing and lending are phenomenal, and the rates on the liquidity pool is, 18,000% APR, not compounded, 18,000%. So yeah, that is. Let me move this again. I'll just move it up to the top right. Okay, my video was blocking the APR for anyone who's listening. So yeah, the APR, as you can see, is 18,000%. Make hay while the sun is shining, right? If you're into sort of degen farms, this is a solid one right now. And wow, it is up to, it's $4 million staked. Total market size is $2 billion. So this launched earlier today, already up to $2 billion TVL. And I think that's just sort of a sign of things to come as far as Avalanche, like I mentioned earlier, the cycle of retail hearing about a project to buying in on Avalanche is very fast. Very fast. So that is Blizz. There's a lot more stuff to take a look at here. By the way, if you have used Geist on Phantom, you have an airdrop for this. If you're currently using Geist, so check that out as well. The next project that we have is SnowBank. SnowBank is a straight up fork of time. This has gone to an insane market cap of $300 million pretty much in one day, and the APY they're offering right now is, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, 35 quintillion% APY. Did I do that right? Million, billion, trillion, quadrillion. Yeah, 35 quintillion. Million, billion, trillion, quadrillion. Yeah, okay. 35 quintillion% APY. I have no idea where this is coming from. This is insane. Obviously, this can't last forever. But as you can imagine, and when people see a number like that, a lot of them try to buy in and make some money while the APY is lasting. And it's already got up to $550 in backing per each of their SB tokens in just a day. So yeah, this is another one that you could check out. Again, both this and Blizz are extremely risky. As far as I can tell, these are not audited. If something were to happen to these, that would be one of the biggest exploits of all time in DeFi. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I consider these to be very risky, but that's why you're able to get a 35 quintillion% APY. You couldn't get that if there wasn't some risk involved. And that's all I have to talk about today. Like I mentioned, extremely bullish on Avalanche. I think all signs are pointing towards it being a major player in the DeFi space and in the cryptocurrency space going forward. Really phenomenal team as well. I encourage you to check out some of their work on Twitter. Let me know what you guys think about Avalanche. Let me know if there's any other yield farming strategies that you're using on Avalanche, any other projects that you think are blue chips within the Avalanche system. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.